Florida. If your bank comes in and tells you that, and you call them up and say, hey, I need a modification, I need help, the first thing they're going to tell you is, well, we can't help you unless you're 90 days behind, okay? If they tell you that, tell them they're wrong. The reason they're doing that is because your loan is insured, okay? There's insurance on your loan. The investors who own your loan are insured. And if you go into 90 days behind, what happens is it's one of the triggers that kicks off that insurance policy so that those investors get paid, okay? So what they're hoping for is because once those investors get paid, your mortgage servicer can then turn around and buy your loan for pennies on the dollar from those investors, okay? So what they want to do is they want to get as many of those loans into default as they can get so they can buy that whole pool of mortgages from that mortgage servicer. I mean, from the actual people, the investors. Then what they want to do is, because they're picking your house up, let's say your house, you owe $80,000 on your house. They're picking your mortgage up for a couple of $1,000s. They're picking it up for like maybe $1,500 or $2,000 at the very most. The reason why they want to push you into foreclosure, that telling you that you have to be 90 days behind is nothing more than a ruse to get you to go into foreclosure so they can begin the foreclosure process, okay? Once they do that, then if they are successful at foreclosing on you and kicking you out of the house, and let's say you owe $80,000 on your house and they turn around and sell it for $40 or $35, they don't care because they only picked your house up for $1,500 or $2,000. So it's pure profit for them. They're making 3,000% return on their investment. That is why they want to foreclose. They will lie to you, okay? They will BS you. I know I'm exiting this company here, so I'm trying to be polite, but it gets me riled up too. And I deal with this stuff every day.
It's real.
It is. And, I have talked homeowners off the ledge. I've talked homeowners to take the gun out of their mouth. It's not fun. And I understand what you guys are going through because I went through it. My house was in foreclosure about 6 years ago. I actually worked my way out of it. And I worked in the lending industry. So I know what goes on from a homeowner perspective. And I can tell you, like Curtis had said earlier, and I give kudos to Curtis here because he's one of the few elected officials in the country that's standing up and giving presentations like this.
Thank you.
Okay? You guys are very, very fortunate to have a public servant like Curtis Hertel. He's only one of 3 elected officials in this country that's actually taken a stand. And one of the things that, him and I talk about this all the time, is the only way that you're going to get to stay in your house is if you stand up and fight. These people play dirty, they play rotten, and they will do whatever they can to take your house. So if you're hesitating about, oh, well, my bank wouldn't lie to me. I hear this from because I have an office in Traverse City. And I hear from people up north all the time, well, my bank wouldn't lie to me. My bank doesn't want my house. Yes, they do. They want your house. So you need to stand up. Yeah, you need to stand up. You need to call guys like, you need to call Curtis. If you're having trouble, call Perry. These guys are phenomenal. These 2 guys are probably the best attorneys that I've ever seen. And I work with some of the best guys in the industry on this stuff across the country and in 19 other states. So, if the other thing that you have to look out for too with modifications is you're going to get calls from modification companies. Okay, they're going to tell you, hey, for $3,500 we can save your home. We can work a modification out for you. Okay, they want that $3,500 up front. Okay, you want to stay away from those guys. If you get one of those calls, call Curtis. Because Curtis will tell me, and I'll make sure the whole world knows about it. Okay, and the reason why you want to stay away from those people, because those people are not allowed to charge you an upfront fee. It is against both Michigan law, and it is against it's against federal law. It's against the Mars rule of the Federal Trade Commission. They can be fined up to $11,000 a day for violating that law. So if somebody comes to a modification and offers you, says, we can help save your home, but we want $3,500, get on the phone with this man.
Thank you, Steve.
All right? I didn't mean to overshare.
No. Always good information. The other thing that you remember with, why do they want your home, is that oftentimes they're being pushed by Fannie Mae. See, Fannie and Freddie actually insure those loans, and so they're under right now with federal bailout. So your tax dollars are actually making them whole on every foreclosure. So when they go ahead and foreclose on you, they get paid back in full out of the federal government, which is why they've actually set specific rates of foreclosure for each individual bank that's under the Fannie Mae system that they have to meet. So they can't slow down the process. Why people will be in the middle of a modification, something we've been trying to figure out for a long time until Detroit Free Press, actually found internal documents that actually showed this. But we were trying to figure out for a long time, well, why would they foreclose on somebody in the middle of a modification? That makes no sense. That person was actually working with them. Well, the reason they would do it is because they were told they have to foreclose on so many people. So if they were in default, they get moved. We have cases where I have a case where actually the person had $100,000 cash, and it was on a $180,000 property. They owed a mortgage. Property was worth $90,000. They were willing to pay $100,000 up front and then continue making mortgage payments because they had actually borrowed everything out of their retirement in order to do that. And they were told, no, we still want the house. Now, if you get $100,000 or a $90,000 house, which one would you take? You take $100,000 every time, right? $100,000 and promise for more? Absolutely, you take it, right? Nope. They went ahead and foreclosed. Why? Because they get paid out in full from your money. So they got paid the full $180,000 immediately out of your tax dollars. That's the problem with the federal bailout bill. I don't think it's what it was intended, but it is the problem under how it's working now. And what we want, I appreciate that there's new tools. President Obama came out with a new thing from Nevada yesterday, and there's benefit to that helps some middle class people actually be able to stay in their homes and refinance. But what we need is, the federal government has Fannie Mae under bailout. We're giving them a lot of money. And and there's a federal watchdog that's supposed to be watching Fannie Mae. What we need them is to do their job. Stop all this nonsense. Stop filing fraudulent documents. Stop actually foreclosing on people based on fraudulent documents. Slow down the process, work out modifications, and keep people in their homes. That's what our tax dollars should be used for, not for kicking people out. Any other questions? Yes.
You spoke to the creation of MERS.
Yes.
How does an entity like that gain any legal footing in what they do? With this, what government entity allowed this, and how do they have any legal power at all?
They don't really have legal power per se. In Michigan, we're not a shall file state, for example. So you don't have to file the documents in my office. It's more of a what everybody did. So they took advantage of that by actually creating a system that was outside of that. And if you really want to get into it, the way they do it is by being fairly shady with the law and having a lot of lawyers. And making a lot of campaign contributions. Because they were actually founded by all these major banks. So they've spent a lot of money, but I personally talked to the MERS lawyer in Michigan. I talked to him last week. And trying to have a conversation with them doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Because I will say things like, they'll say, well, no, our transfers in our system, we never hold the note, we only hold the mortgage. I said, well, that doesn't make any sense because you can't actually have both those things, because they actually, under Michigan law, have to stay together under the Griswold case of 1933? Ginsburg, all right. Ginsburg. I remember these things, I'm not a lawyer. So you can't actually separate them. They'll say, well, no, we don't do that. I said, well, you file documents all the time. My office would say you do that. They said, oh, that's just a form. I'm like, no, it's a legal document that you actually file in my office. No, it's just a form. No, it's an affidavit, actually, that's required under law to be legal. No, it's just a form. They live in a quasi-fantasy land, to be honest. In Kansas, we actually outlawed MERS. Kansas doesn't, you can't actually have MERS system in Kansas, so those loans are outside of it. In Michigan law, there are some lawmakers that are actually talking about fixing MERS, trying to actually go back and make it so all those MERS foreclosures were legal and that MERS can continue operating in the state. If that happens, if one of them actually tries to do that, you'll know about it because we'll be screaming from the top of the Capitol building. My belief is that MERS should not exist. That we should go back to a system where people could actually know who owned their mortgage because it was filed in the Register of Deeds office. I could run a great scam. Nobody do it, please. But it would be very easy to actually commit the following crime. I could take 1,000 mortgages, go create a P.O. box somewhere in New York, send 1,000 letters out saying, I'm the new bank of Mellon Trust, and I own your loan, and please make your payment to me. You'd have no way of checking, and I bet most people would do it. Because that's what happens to people all the time. You get a letter in the mail saying, well, Wells Fargo now owns your loan, and then you go make the payment to Wells Fargo now. You do it as a matter of trust. But there should be something filed in my office that you can go check to make sure they actually own it, right? I mean, that would be reasonable. But there isn't under the current law. Under the current law, and under MERS, there's no way of actually checking who actually owns your loan. The banks say, well, we send you a letter. But, I mean, do you really remember getting the letter? Yeah.
When you said they made promises to put the
computer system, yeah, I don't.
Guys, who did they make those promises?
Register of Deeds around the country. When MERS was created, there were registers that were up in arms. And they actually went to the federal government to actually try to prevent this from actually happening. And they said it's going to be a disaster for citizens because citizens won't know who owns their mortgage, and they'll have no way to actually track it in the system. And they said, no, we're going to provide that to you, and we will provide a computer to every register of deeds across the country. People should have known that was a lie relatively quickly. There are tens of thousands of counties across the country, because you get into states like Texas, and there's like 400 or 500 counties just in Texas, because it's all real small areas. So I think people should have figured it out, but it wasn't figured out, and but that was the promise they gave. Now you can actually go and look up your loan in MERS if you want to. You can go if you know you have a mortgage in the MERS system. Which, by the way, before tonight, how many people actually knew that MERS even existed? I mean, it's not very many, right? And they own half the mortgages in the country. Or they have some interest in half the mortgages in the country, and most people don't have any idea. But if you knew MERS existed and you wanted to know if your loan was in the system, you could go onto their website and you could look it up. You'd also have to give them your social security number, which I don't generally go to companies I don't know and give them my social security number. I'm just really protective of that. But you could do that.
What you do is go to a counselor if you want to do it, because we can get on the system too. We give our
you give
ID number.
your social security number? Yeah.
That's not our social security number, but our federal ID number.
Oh, that makes your taxpayer number.
Whether you have that or not.
Yeah.
Go ahead and steal from a nonprofit.
Yeah, so you can use your tax ID number if you are a nonprofit status. But the reality is most people don't know about MERS. So you couldn't. No one knows who owns your own mortgage.
Well, we've tried to use this system before, and I'd say probably 3 out of 10 times it might work. The rest of the time, you're not getting anything. You're not getting useful information.
Well, and the system is also a little confusing because when you first go into the system, it actually tells you your servicer, not the owner of your mortgage, and those are two very different things. And so you think you found out who the owner is, and you actually found out who the servicer is. And you have to give them more information and ask again if you want to find out who actually owns it. So it's not set up to really.
And that's part of the problem, actually, with the servicer being the one that actually forecloses and the foreclosure company actually being the one that forecloses, because instead of having the bank involved, the person who has interest in it, you're dealing with somebody who's paid more to do for foreclosure. So they don't have any interest in actually helping you save your home, and they don't have the counterbalance of, okay, well, we might actually make $80,000 off this person if we get a modification as opposed to getting $30,000. They don't own the debt, they don't care. So they're relatively not involved in the process. That's the problem we have. Any other questions?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, sir.
How long actually can you stay in your home when there's a foreclosure?
It's a great question. It's a great question. I mean, I know people who have lived in their home for years actually after the foreclosure. But it's a really inconsistent answer because, okay, let me give you the minimum, okay? If you take the 90-day law, so you take advantage of the 3-month process of negotiation, and that doesn't work out. And then they have to post again, right, Bill? At that point, so they post. That's another month. So that's now we're down to 4 months, and then you get 6-month redemption period. So 10 months, and then another month to evict you. Pretty close. So 11 months.
Maybe a little bit less time to
Yeah. Now, that's if they do everything right. We have seen plenty of examples of where these foreclosure companies will try to evict early. They will try to trick you basically out of into moving out of your home. Or they'll show up and padlock your house and take your stuff. In fact, we recommend that if citizens are in foreclosure and they're in the redemption period, you would actually put notes inside the house. I know this sounds crazy, but you put notes inside the house that say, "This house is not abandoned. I live here, and I'm planning on living here until I'm evicted." And the reason you do that is so that they can't come in and say, "Oh, well, we came there, it looked abandoned to us, so we took all the property." Put it on the street and padlocked it because it looked abandoned to us.
Yeah. Well, there's also other cases too where these guys have just come into the home while the people are there. We have cases like that, and I have about 5 cases in Florida right now where the property retention company has just showed up while the people are at home and just, blasted out the lock and said, "Oh, we're here to change the lock." They change the lock and then take off.
I mean, if anybody here rents, you have to be careful too, because oftentimes you'll be making payments and not knowing who actually, at the end of the day, owns your loan. Now, the Truth in Lending Act actually requires now that you actually get to stay in your home if you have a lease. So you get to stay if you have a lease and the property's foreclosed. You get to stay the length of the lease. But too often that's also ignored, and people are trying to get thrown out even though they have a valid lease. So knowing your rights is important.
Our office represents people on that too, but contact us early. Don't wait until the eviction year to contact us about that.
Early proactive action. That's what we need.
They send people around to look, to see if there's somebody in the house.
Yeah, they'll pay
Every day, almost every week, and sometimes if it's getting near the end, they're going to send somebody every day, and then take pictures.
Yeah.
To verify that somebody's living there, and so you want to make sure it looks like you're living there.
So even if there's a person that's renting and they have been doing modifications to the home for themselves, as far as being told that they can purchase the home, so if you're saying that there is a law that works for them and their benefit as well,
If they have an active lease,
as long as the lease is active.
they have to have a signed lease. Yes.
So as long as it's signed, then they're protected as well.
Yes, absolutely. Oftentimes, though, they don't. Oftentimes, the companies will lie. So you have to.
Exactly. I understand that.
They're required by law to actually notify of your rights as well. They don't often do that. So, but if you're a renter, yes, you have rights.
Okay. Even if you've been, now for instance, because there at times it can be a situation where you're renting from someone, they're making promises that, well, if anything comes about the house or the home is in foreclosure, it's still my property and I'm going to allow you to rent the place. Just let me know if anything happens, and get to me, and as long as you keep writing them checks out for rent, I got your back. Now, can I take that same information?
No, you can't, a word? Yeah.
No, it's documented.
Oh, document, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like this is actually something you're dealing with, and I
Yeah.
strongly suggest you follow up.
Yeah.
Immediately.
There are rules about it. The written
I
release
need a
has to
car
be done
before we
in
leave.
Tom?
I got one for you.
Tom's from my office. He'll get all your information. We'll do an intake in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay. And anybody else, if you're somebody who actually is in foreclosure, if you need legal advice, see Tom. They'll do an intake. If you are somebody who needs counseling, see Bill. And if Bill, all right. And if you need, if you are going through a foreclosure case, Steve has actually offered to do a consultation with you, free of charge. Anything else? I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. Appreciate it, and hopefully we can help save some homes in Ingham County.